Google wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. Our buddy Mitch is cheating on us again, as he's doing now every Tuesday. Trying not to worry, but yeah, he's spending a lot of time over at another station. Right? We got to start calling him out when he gets back. But in the meantime, while we wait for him to get back, we're going to start looking at the markets. We're going to figure out what happened overnight, what we could see going to the rest of the day. Spoiler alert, not a lot, but that's okay. I think that's constructive action. I'll explain why here in just a second. So without further ado, you don't need to see too much of me. We can get into it. Let's change this so it's a little, there we go, fits in the screen a little nicer. So here's the SPY so far this morning. I think the 30-minute chart might be better here. Just to explain what happened yesterday. This is more, quote unquote, normal market action, right? Where you had this massive pop up, and now we've just been consolidating inside of it. And to be honest, I think there's probably more of this happening for an extended period of time, because we're inside this kind of crappy range right now, and we need something, in my opinion, to get us out of that range. We need a thing to occur. And so far, we're not really there, right? We're not really at a point where there's any news events that are upcoming that we know of to pop us out one way or the other. So I think it's one of those, no one cares about anything right now except tariffs. So we are just waiting and holding our breath, and we're waiting for some idea of what's going to happen to tariffs. Until then, I think we're pretty range bound here. So choppy day yesterday. Was very hard for me to trade. The intraday strategies didn't do the best. I think it was hard for a lot of people to trade because the market didn't really do anything. So far in the pre-market, we're doing the same thing. And if we go out to the futures instead, you can see even more extension of nothing, right? Big push up. And then ever since then, we've just been kind of tightening and consolidating sideways. The benefit is when the market starts to get really tight like this, at some point, we need to get some sort of expansion out of that range. Right now, at least the shorter term or intermediate term trend is higher. So we could bet that could resolve higher. It would make a lot of sense. However, right, it's just tight. It's just tight here right now. So now we're going to start getting into some other names. But first, let's go to the economic calendar. Spoiler alert, guys. I had a doctor's appointment this morning, so you guys are going to hang out with me while I do my pre-market work, which I actually think will be a good thing to show you guys kind of exactly how that works. So step one, you look at futures. Well, what's going on here on the futures? And I don't know where that long came from, but whatever. So far, right, we've had big push up, inside day. Right? We're still really inside this candle. So I think it's pretty easy to take the high of that candle, like there, and the low of that candle right there, and just say we are in a trading range until one of those things move. So we need to have that to resolve kind of one way or the other. So step one, futures. Step two, economic calendar. What's on the docket for today? We got anything going on? So we got Mr. Barkin doing some barking at 11:35 Eastern. We have a crude oil stock change. No idea what that is, but it's ranking it as a 2-star event. So that's interesting. Same with Barkin being a 2-star event. Nothing really crazy, right? No CPI or anything like that. Just more Fed guys yapping about being Fed guys. So nothing huge there. Then we go to the stock, the heat map here. We can take a look here at the heat map. And I always just like to kind of look around here and say, do I extend that? Where's usually like a button to say, okay, whatever. There used to be a button here to get rid of things that aren't moving very much. But anyway, most things are pretty okay. Netflix up 2%, Apple down 1%. Nothing standing out here too much other than financials doing okay. So that's probably going to have to do with BAC and BAC, and JP Morgan, I believe both had earnings. So we are going to kind of keep a close eye on that and see. So BAC is going to be one here. I'm actually going to add this. You can see me do this now in kind of real time here. I'm going to add this to the list. BAC. Right, so all I do is to set up the alerts for the day because I have this indicator done. I mentioned this in the free trading course that we're working on. It's going to be really, really cool when that happens. Boom. I have this indicator all set up, so it will alert me on a 5-minute close above and below VWAP. Until then, we're just chilling. Bull, it looks like Bull is trying to give up the ghost here, so I'm going to keep that on watch there as well. Citigroup, also a nice little move here, so that one's going to be kept on watch here as well. QQQ, I'm going to add this one because I've actually done some testing. I showed you guys there yesterday. I've done some testing, and this setup seems to work on the overall markets as well. So we're going to keep that in watch, and then UVXY. Right, so this is a short-term VIX contract. So if the market starts to sell off or starts to recover a bit, if the market starts to sell off, this will bounce. If the market recovers, this will continue to sell off. I'm going to watch this one as well. Now let's do some scanning. Right, so right here we've got gappers, right, in the pre-market. There's that ARBB. I think I'm going to look at price. And let's just make price above 5. I don't trade a lot of those penny stocks, so we can get that out. This USAR. So USAR is something that Mitch was watching yesterday, and this nice little push up today. So I'm going to add this one here to list right there. And MP Materials. This was a crazy guy. Yeah, nice little pop there as well. This is another one. I watched a whole Odd Lots podcast on rare earth materials and how they are not rare and they don't affect the economy at all if we don't have them, which was hilarious. Well, just looking through all the gaps here that are over a few percentage. Ericsson, no volume there in the pre-market. Rocket Lab, that's already selling off. Newsmax moving again. Sure, why not, right? Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye and make sure that there are some, that I'm looking at things that have some volume behind them, that, they matter a little bit in the pre-market. This APLD, certainly a miss. I've just heard some beeps in my ears. So let me take a look. Oh, look at this. Look at who we got here. Yankin. We've got a... Oh. Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Howdy. Hey, good morning. How you doing?
How are things? How's the world?
The world is interesting. It's keeping me busy.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Things are good. Hope the same with you.
Did you buy Weeble at $10 2 days ago, and then you're here to announce your retirement? Is that?
I did not unfortunately buy at 10. My friend did, and he got his 420 screenshot. He got his 666 screenshot. So I'm happy for him. Flowers to you, Chaos. But
well, it's all well and good to get screenshots, but did he sell?
He sells when he takes a screenshot too. So
good.
He was trotching out then.
He knows the rules. As much as Wall Street Bets is generally not a place you want to listen to, they've got one saying that I love, which is if it's good enough to take a screenshot, it's good enough to sell. Right? Yeah. Pay yourself at least a little bit as well. So, yeah.
That's my quad. That's my
another
quad.
guy.
My quads
another
are
one
here. My
we got the
quads
cheater.
are here.
We got the cheater back.
Hey! Who called that 30 buy though on Bull yesterday?
Ooh, look at that thing.
That 30 buy.
I was just watching that thing yesterday. Just in
that symmetrical triangle on 30 was a beauty. The only thing was you had to have the, the to get in there with a 50-cent spread there. We were talking about it. I saw the setup. I was even thinking about it. I was just like, how do I go in here with the size that's right? And then that's the hard part of determining a trade like that. To me, those are lottos, right? Like if you're going to take that trade, it has to be with money you can lose. If anything,
you're taking 2 shares of that thing if you're trading it. Anyone who comes in and says they're trading hundreds of shares of this, either your account size is massive or you're insane. I think those are kind of the only 2 options.
It was tough,
there.
man. I was looking at 20 shares. That's what I was considering when I was like looking at it. But man, it would have been a nice one though. A nice little 100% run in the day, pretty much a little bit more than that. So, I mean, can't go wrong with that. We'll see what happens today if we're able to catch a runner like that. I actually thought it was a nice overnight short. So if you got short on that overnight, I thought that was a really good move. I think that I know it's a tough short, but I mean, how much more was bull going? I mean, overnight, and you didn't get much buying overnight. It was just straight down action, pretty much. Wasn't a big drop though, and I think that leaves room for what I'm looking for today, which is a nice pop and drop into bull. Let's see if we can get that. So quick pop out the gates, get people excited. Yes, this is going to 100. And then it comes back down.
It might go to 100. I'm not going to lie.
It could. I think it's one of those things. You got to remember that the reason this thing is moving is solely degens, right? There's no...
What? There's no big fun, just massively long bull?
Absolutely not. What I love looking at float rotation as a number, right? So
I actually think that's very important. And also small cap traders, pay attention to this. I think this is big.
Yeah, there is. So float rotation basically means, let's pretend me, Mitch, and Steve are sitting in a room, and we are trading this company between ourselves. Apple, we will trade 0.00001% of the company. We don't exist. It doesn't matter. Who cares? With Webull, there was 9 million shares in the float, and I think there was 30 million shares done that day. So it means if we were sitting in the room, the entire company would change hands 4 times. And as soon as you start getting into that, where the entire float of the company is rolled over even once, you know it is specifically and solely short-term retail traders, right, trying to make a buck. And that's fine. It just means this isn't a fundamental move. It's not moving because, Webull's this amazing company and we believe it's valued at that. It is moving solely because, again, the whole float is getting shifted around. So it's a game of musical chairs. And if you don't have enough chairs, then you got to find a place to sit. So yeah, that's a perfect graphic. So you get these squeezes, and then you get, at some point, the collapse right back down. So again, if you're trading this and you're making money, good. Just have an out, because at some point there's going to do a Newsmax where it's just going to be right back to where it came from.
Does anyone have a recent float number on bull? That's the hard part.
9 million.
9 million? Okay. Yeah, because the float numbers on new stocks are sometimes harder to find. And like, I know this is the D-SPAC, but sometimes
that's FinViz. So right, they're generally okay, but right.
No, generally okay. I think I trust FinViz a lot, and I think that you're looking for that. And what would you consider is like extreme float rotation? Because I feel like there's like simple rotation. Maybe it's the float trading 2 times, 3 times the amount. And then there's like where you see like the outliers, where you see like, let's say 100 times the float, right? I mean, that is ridiculous, right? And so I think that's an important thing to look for too, guys, is the amount of pure volume that's going into it, right? This stock traded yesterday 37 million shares, right? And so you're not talking about 2 times, 3 times, you're talking past that. And then once you get to that point, you can definitely drive a stock. You're essentially having the gas to move it, right? Now, the only question is, where is it going to get moved? But I mean, that's a whole nother ball game, right? We'll see what happens with that. But crazy move, guys. I think we got to watch to see what happens with that bad boy today. The other thing, though, continuing to think about it, the spread probably isn't going to get better on this name. And that's also because of the low float. And so don't forget about that, guys. And remember, the spread itself can delete you, right? And so if you're going to trade this, make sure you understand the amount of pure movement that's happening in this name. One of the ways that we can do that, we've been talking about that, and just to kind of put that into perspective, guys, is make sure that you're using your ATR, right? And so on a name like Bull, you can just use the ATR and then start trying to use that maybe on a 15-minute basis or something like that. And at its height yesterday, I mean, it was moving close to what? We're talking like 9 points there in a 15-minute.
Yeah.
So don't forget that, right? And I think that that's the important thing. You might be thinking you're trading a small size, but can you handle 9 points of that small size? And don't forget that it could do that move on you. So if you can remember that, you'll remember the quote that I like to talk about not letting one trade make you or not letting one trade break you. This is that perfect trade. You can take it, just don't let it be the trade that breaks or makes you, because then you're probably just putting all your eggs in one basket. And we all know how those traders turn out. Sometimes it turns out good, but majority of the times it's just disaster.
Even if it turns out good, it only takes one mistake to
that trader normally gets the next trade and thinks he has it, and the disaster comes anyways, right? But all right, guys, that's enough of the bull talk out there. A lot of earnings, a lot of stocks that came in here today. Anything you guys want to focus on specifically? I know I talked a lot on Trader TV about a lot of the things that are up, and like always, guys, you guys can catch that 8:45 on Tuesdays. And then, of course, my man on Thursday afternoon. So if you guys aren't catching him, don't miss it. Steve's been rocking those webinars, and then also hopping on Trader TV before that. And you hop on like at 3:45, right, on Thursdays?
Let's see. I'm there 15 minutes after the bell, so 3:15.
Oh,
yeah, and then I'll be on for 15, 20 minutes or so, and then right over to the webinar. And it's been a lot of fun. We've been getting more faces, more engagement.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Right after the close, you got the traders trying to learn. All right, guys. Of course, a lot of earning stocks and things like that today. Let's take a look at some of the action out there. Anything that you want to focus on, Michael? Anything in the earnings area that you want to talk about?
Banks, I think, are interesting. Right? I think we gotta, you know, they're not sexy.
Now let's talk a little bit about the banks. I'll go to your screen here. Let's go take a look at that.
I think XLF is a good. Right? So we have Citigroup, that's gapping up. You know, kind of beat top line and bottom line.
Overall, banks beat, right? I mean, I didn't really see one disaster there in the banks. And one of the things that I was looking in the earnings that didn't show up was a giant leap in credit provisions, right? Essentially, the banks getting ready for disaster. We did not see those over the estimates. That was an interesting sign.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things that, you know, again, people want to trade fun stuff like robotics and blah, blah, blah. But banks really just tell you the health of your economy. If your economy is suffering, because who do you think lends the money to Rocket Lab or quantum computer scam XYZ to try to make something of a company? It's the banks. So if the banks are suffering, if the banks are hurting, they're going to be less likely to lend. They're going to lend at higher rates. It's gonna bring down the market. So good banks is good for the overall economy, and we're seeing that. So we're getting a little bit of a gap up. I think the interesting thing here on XLF is just how important is this kind of $47 level bid. And when we came below it, things were ugly, and now we're, at least for now, we're gapping back above it here. So if we can hold that $47 on XLF on banks, I just think we got to put that very solely in the win column for saying, okay, good, we can. You know, good things can occur when banks are doing well, and bad things generally occur when banks are doing poorly. So it's good. It doesn't mean we're out of the woods. It's good. And one thing I wanted to look at too was I wonder if I can find it just here, the move. Yeah, so all right, let's start with the VIX to explain with people. So the VIX is the volatility index on the S&P 500. The VIX moves based off how many people are buying puts in the S&P 500. That's it. Right? It's not a traded instrument in itself. It's a derivative based off of, you could trade with ETFs and stuff, but it's not a kind of, it doesn't move based off people buying and selling the VIX. It moves based on people buying and selling puts on the S&P 500. So you can see the volatility has been coming down quite a bit here, right? And this is just what it does. Right? You have periods of high volatility, and then it bleeds back down, and then so on and so forth. That's why it's a very interesting trading instrument. I know a lot of people, you get steamrolled, but a lot of people short into VIX pops. But then we have the move index. So the move index is essentially the VIX on bonds, right? So on the bond market. And I gave this whole speech on Trader TV yesterday, and I gave it here, and I gave it on StockTwits about how the bond market is where the big guys play. Us little tiny fish, we hang out in the stock market. The bond market is $1 quadrillion. The global bond market. It is just beyond massive. And it's the thing that made Trump blink, is that the bond market was tanking. He didn't care about the stock market tanking. I don't think he cares if, Nike goes bankrupt. I don't think he cares a lot of these companies go bankrupt. But if the bond market flinches and the bond market does really bad, then that is 2008 level catastrophe. So he flinched when the bond market went down. You would expect this starting to bleed back down, because if you look at it, it does the same thing pretty much the equity markets does. It's fairly new, right? So you don't get a lot of data. But when you get big volatility in the market, you get people who are buying actually protection on bonds, and it comes back down over and over again. However, at least recently, it's not been doing that. So it's not been following the VIX down. So we are seeing stock markets, the volatility decrease, and people buying less protection on the overall stock markets. That hasn't been happening on the bond market. And we put banks in the positive column. We have to put this very much in the negative column, because, again, bonds are everything. Bonds are the way that we talk about lending with the banks, but bonds are the way that these small companies buy things or get debt to buy things to build things. So what's your guys' take on the massive volatility we're seeing here in the bond market?
I think it's alarming. I think it's really worrying when you have that not acting as a ballast for your long equities. I think that shows systemic de-risking to some extent, especially in the foreign markets. I think it's something we got to keep an eye on, especially for the longer term traders, to see how out of the woods we may or may not be. I've been pretty vocal about thinking that this rally off the bottom is probably not the low. I can't be sure, but I think that things are still showing significant risks. That's kind of where I'm at and what I'm using bonds to monitor.
I think that's the right way.
I think we gotta watch. I think the whole world is still on wait. And the truth is that 90 days gives room for a relief rally and also room for the fall to happen after. And so don't forget that at the end of the day, it's a pause. Doesn't mean that it can't go back to where it was. And another thing to look at is what specifics do we get? We still haven't gotten the list. We still haven't gotten the mentions. And then there was more concern today. I saw potential tariffs coming on pharmaceuticals. And if that happens, hey, guys, I'll let you know right now. There's two areas where China runs us. It runs us in owning materials, and it owns us in owning manufacturing. And majority of that, where the concern would be, is technology. Really, no one cares. It sounds bad, but no one cares about your American Eagle or your Abercrombie and Fitch, if they're getting their clothes from China or not. They care more about the semiconductor industry, and that's why you're seeing also a focus that came out of China. Remember the mentions that we got from I think it was some association in China about the semiconductors. But I think it's an important thing that they're mentioning things like that, right? Because it shows that it's also important to China, right? At the end of the day, without that manufacturing that's created there, that's a lot of their money, right? Regardless of the fact. And so they got to take a poison pill, essentially, to continue battling with the U.S. They've done it in the past. So things that we need to be looking at to see what happens. I think what we need to watch also is, and I know the bond's important. We'll be watching TLT. I think it's already dropping today. I think you watch for those lows, like you've mentioned. If that breaks, well, you know where you're heading. But another area that I'm watching the XLU as an area where I'm seeing some quick up move. And I think this is an area that I think that traders should continue to watch this. If we remember what happened in the last kind of bear market environment, energy and utilities actually did pretty good. And so I do see oil kind of coming down. That's an interesting kind of look, right, with XLE going down the way it is, but the XLU showing strength. And there's another area, of course, that I'll bring up in a second that I think is another area to continue to watch. That could be signs that the market has trouble ahead. So to me, this is a negative sign on the utilities, the way that they're showing. And then the other negative sign that I talked about on Trader TV is the staples. The staples are showing strength there. So you can see it in the XLP. The XLP kind of held this pullback that I thought it was very important. And since then, it's kind of really continued. And you can take a look there, a nice little pullback area that we went back towards 76, kind of monthly support, created a big wick in that area. Now you have two big wicks in that area. I think this could break the high and continue going and rallying. And so this is not good sign, at least I think so. I think shows more and more investors rotating money towards defensive areas of the market, even underneath the scope of a technology relief rally. Right. So that's what I'm watching. So stocks that I'll continue to watch for trouble. Apple, there's still worry about what's going to happen here. Now, the only question is, how hard of a stance can Trump hold on? A lot of people have been saying he's been bending and breaking. So we'll see what happens here. Will he kind of make a deal to help Apple? That's the truth. And I think that's what the number one company that came knocking on his door. There's also other companies that are massively supported by China too. Qualcomm, about half their revenue coming from here, right? Marvell, big companies that are exposed here, right? That's barely jumped back, right, on Marvell. Yeah. So I think you continue to watch to see what happens there. I think the news was good, but then since we didn't get specifics, that's why we dropped yesterday, right? And so we need to continue to watch this. The crazy part is it's very binary also. Very few times do you get into these worries and it's kind of like a binary event, because the truth is it's still on rhetoric and Trump's decision of how much he wants to continue battling here in the tariffs. So, hey, those are the areas that I'll be watching, the utilities. And then another one, just to bring in a story of the day. It's 9:27, so I just wanted to bring it really quickly. Of course, Trump yesterday getting weak on the cars, and Ford, GM could be seeing continued lifts today. What was mentioned, of course, was that he was pretty much hinting at a temporary exemption in the auto sector, giving car makers time to shift production back to the U.S. What was one of the things that we talked about here? Well, his whole idea is to shift manufacturing to the U.S. So that was what his goal was. He didn't understand that these companies could do it that fast. And I'm sure these companies already advised him that they couldn't do it that fast. But it got worse when things started to get worse with China and things like that. And I think that in this case, the Ford and GM probably came knocking. And I don't think it was Ford or GM that actually pushed them over the edge. You know who it was? It was good old Elon knocking on the door and telling him, hey, Trump, I kind of need a favor, man. I kind of need you to exempt some areas in autos for Tesla to get the bounce back. So watch for Tesla today as being the leader of this trade. I'll be watching just Tesla out the gates. I'll just look at this. I'll keep it simple for myself. I'll look at the hourly resistance. I'll look at the hourly support. Whichever way it breaks, I can trade it in that direction. We'll see what happens. That's 254 on the upside, 246 on the downside.
I love me some Tesla just because everybody hates them some Tesla.
and that's why I'm looking at this as who came on the door and actually got him to budge, right? I don't think it was Ford and GM that got him to budge. If there was one person that got him to budge, it was Elon. Finally saying, hey, kind of need some help here. And when you think about it, Tesla does need help here. If they're losing out on the sales in the international space because of Elon's brand imaging, right? Well, they need to make sure that they at least kick here in the United States, right? And that's the truth. So I think that he came knocking and he was like, well, we need to do some changing here. All right, guys, we'll see what happens on my best trade yesterday. USAR already up to 1430s, 1440s. And you guys know I was trading this yesterday. got this at the 11, right before the 11. I was like at the 1070s. Big run yesterday towards 13. Could continue today. And this is the big run that's happening in metals and minerals. Rare earth material names are getting a big push. I say we continue to watch this because I'll show you something real quick. I know the market's opening here, guys, but if you take a look at the volume, the amount of volume that's come in on these material names as of late is absolutely massive, guys. And I think that we got to continue to watch that. Look at the amount of volume that's come into silver, the amount of volume that's come into gold. Even metals and minerals getting volume spikes, agriculture volume spikes. There's volume spikes all in every industry here. I don't see a single industry that's not getting a volume spike. So that tells me more and more we need to pay attention here. Where the volume goes, the rotation sometimes goes. So continue to watch these materials to see the lift. Silver on the radar today.
Mitch, USAR, I'm glad you're in that name. I or at least traded it. I got in at NAV basically. I know it's a SPAC. I got in at 990 pre-market yesterday, and I turned around. It was a small position. I turned around. I was up 30%. So I was looking for a spot to add. I kind of just sent it this morning pre-market again, expecting something similar, but I got a cushion. So I wouldn't say get in right now, but it's a big area of interest, and I think there's potential for 18 to 20 on that name.
All right, we'll see what happens today, guys. I'm going to pull my charts down. I'll put Michael up for just a second here. I'll get my trading platform ready to rock and roll here, guys. Of course, I got this small little account, guys, that has been kicking, you know what, trying to get it, this little $5,000 account. Why not have a little side account, right? We'll see what happens, guys. And then, of course, I got the $50,000 account going in the right direction. Yesterday, a break-even day. I will take a break-even day when I can get it sometimes. Let's see if we can go ahead, keep bouncing, and keep pushing in the right direction.
Pretty much the same for me. A do nothing day yesterday. Best way to talk about it. And is that, you know, some days you swing for the fences and you have a great time, and some days not so much. So yeah, I'm just setting up some alerts here, just popping in my Zapier links. I can show you guys at some point. I'm waiting for permission from the buddy who built the bot about how I'm completely auto trading these interactive brokers now. But first move on the market, great.
Got a stock going to the halt. I think Mora is about to halt, just to mention that.
Yeah, rallied up
40 level. Seems pretty responsive the past day or so. Popping it right now.
Yeah, and that's the pre-market high there too.
Mm-hmm.
Mura, Verv in the small caps.
Verv.
That thing jumped through 5.
Smoking.
This was already moving before on the daily, so it's not a bad one. Mura is kind of the newer one. That one's up already 154%.
Verve is high quality too. They're actually a biotech name that I actually want to invest in at some point. Not sure if I'm ready. Maybe this is the time.
RXRX moving off of this too, guys. I wanted to tell you guys a story, but I'd rather make the money here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get in it here. Let's see if I can grab a little bit here and look for any pullback to add here on RXRX. Trying to get long there. Already got long here in the little small account, that little $5,000 account, taking the shot here early. This is on RXRX, of course. These are the companies that have been making moves because of this different kind of rules that are coming in for drug development. So this is a big trade that's a theme underneath the hood of the market's uncertainty. I'll take the shot here, RXRX. There's other names too. I can look them up in just a second. I just knew that this was related to that. So I'm instead of trading Verv, I'm going with a bigger name in RXRX.
Nice little push up there off the open. Nice little move in the market as a whole off the open. Came right to that pre-market high, backed off a little bit. Would shock me if that was it, right? Generally, at least you see a breakthrough pre-market high to get some people in, stop some people out, get people a little bit angry. But that's not what we're seeing.
Yeah, 6 looks good for RXRX. We'll see if I'm able to nail that, guys. Smash it up out there. If you guys are tuning in on YouTube, on X, hit the retweet button, hit the like. We want to get some more traders in here looking around. I'll be continuing to look at those smaller names. I'll let you guys know what's moving out there. And you guys, I know, are watching some of those big names. Part of this is my strategy that I've been adjusting to. I've been telling myself, well, just pay attention to the small names the first 30 minutes or first hour of the day, and then come towards the bigger names after the hour, which has been helping me get around that morning suckers move.
Just shorted some MP. Right, just again from got some requests to just draw these out more, but that's a long. This one's a short.
So one thing about MP is that they are heavily reliant on China to refine their U.S. mined rare earth elements. So I think that the pump is kind of silly. I think that USAR and TMC are probably more likely to hold those moves despite being smaller cap names. So something to keep an eye on.
Really interesting for
I like TMC.
There. A real interesting look at Bloomberg brought Odds Lots. This is the name of the podcast, and they brought on their kind of chief commodities guys. And he was talking about how yes, 80% of rare earth minerals are made in the U.S., but nobody cares. It's like the U.S. imported $50 million. Not billion, $50 million.
Goldman Sachs, big move on Goldman Sachs, doing well. I keep the story up though.
So yeah, it's just showing that rare earth minerals are nothing. They just have a really cool sounding name. It's like, oh, it's rare, so we need it. But again, short from the system, blue arrow alert. So short from there, targeting 2-day VWAP, stop at high of day, just being a robot. So banks haven't triggered yet.
Sorry, just really quick. I will say where they are very relevant is for the aerospace and defense sectors. It takes over 900 pounds of rare earth magnets to make an F-35. So considering the heightened political tensions, it could be relevant in that regard. But yeah, it's a weird little sector to learn about for sure.
Yeah, and I guess again, according this is all I'm just parroting what this guy was saying, but according to him is that we can do it. And we can do it really easily. The reason that we let China do it is not because they have more rare earth minerals or that they're better or they whatever. It's just that it's dirty as hell. So we're like, you guys, right, do all that.
Yeah, it's the pollution.
Yeah, you guys do all that, and then we'll worry about it on the other end.
The same way why we do have lithium like areas, but we just kind of limit it, right? And same thing with a lot of that action.
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs ripping, guys. That was one of the names that I had on the radar for upside action. That's doing really well, guys. So that means the XLF doing pretty decent here. I don't even need to look. I can just literally assume it. And then so I'll be watching this. It's nothing that I'm trading right now, but I'm just saying that I think this is definitely something to watch there. Still in RX, just trying to ride it out here, looking for a push towards 6. I just even added there. Now I'm at 577, but looking for a push to 6.
Yeah, I just like the USAR seems to be performing very well so far out the gates, at least 1470. So it's interesting to see that divergence starting to come into play after just the influx of volume across the whole sector. So that could be a fun pair trade: short MP, long USAR.
Tesla, good move to the downside, then back to the upside, but still hasn't broken out of that 1 hour range. I think you're just trying to tap hourly range. I think you get to see the hourly candle close above 254 for that real bullish action to come in. What I'd like to see is that 254 break, then a pullback somewhere near like 252. So it'll give you a trend line break on the 1 hour chart on Tesla.
We got that pre-market break in the SPY, the 540 area. This is why I always go to the daily chart. It's just to remind everyone this is all that's happened so far today, right? We're still got a lot of room to go in any direction. But yeah, through the pre-market high, the next area I think is just this kind of 554 zone where we struggled twice yesterday. And then through that, like I've been talking about for a long time, is 550. That's the anchored VWAP that held us down way back here. So if we test that again, there could be a little bit of fear happening there. It's also the prior lows that we broke down of. So again, I feel like at some point, and maybe today, maybe sometime this week or next, we at least test that zone. The market seems to, when there's a big level like that, the market seems to want to have a tendency to go like exploring, test there and see, okay, are the sellers still there? what's kind of potentially happening. But yeah, so far, again, just a great day. First 15 minutes or first 10 minutes or so is done, and both candles were green and to the upside. So I don't know what else you want.
A few things that I'm watching this week. The first off is right now we're negotiating the mitigation area that we saw the sell-off in at the end of the day yesterday. So we're kind of making that up. And like you said, when there's an area of interest, the market loves revisiting it. So if people got stuck being long there and they just said, hey, I bet we're going to revisit this area and I'll get out there. So there's a chance that we do sell off a little here. There's also a chance we negotiate it, digest it, and move a lot higher like you're talking about. There's some really, really juicy targets upside. In terms of timing, we have expiration on Wednesday, tomorrow. We also have a short week and a long weekend and monthly OPEX on Thursday. And going into that long weekend, I think we might see some de-risking. So that's an area I'll probably be looking to swing short. Being, I'm still wearing my bear suit. I'm tactically long, but watching my Sox hedges get burnt a little bit here. So keeping an eye on that.
About half in cash right now. Problem is, and the main reason is because two of the algorithms I run are looking for some sort of pullback in order to buy, and we just haven't gotten that so far this week. So nothing triggered. But yes, Verve stuff was pointing out there, a nice little push there, and then take a look at the SPY. And again, just I did perfect world, right? Perfect bull scenarios. We come back in, we test this kind of 540 area where we had some resistance to the pre-market. We come back and we test that and push higher, right? If we're looking at the futures, you can see kind of how big this level was all this morning.
Yeah.
This kind of zone, I guess we could say, just right here. So
looks like a big old pennant that's trying to break out there.
Yeah. That's why it's always good to go back and forth for the futures. And again, I always say for those who don't have futures data, you can just type in SP 500, and then you get the same chart. This is just the CFD version. So this is what a lot of European people trade. If you're with our parent company, the Fivers, that's what you're trading when you're trading the overall index, the CFD version. So you can do that with a lot of things. NAS 100 will be the NASDAQ. I think they call it US 30 is the Dow.
Energy, big boost today, guys. XLE bouncing back after really being pressured down. That's up towards almost 80 now. Big, nice little pushback in some of those energy names.
Yeah, my top 20 sector is just about all green except for Amazon and Google, which have been lagging a decent amount lately.
Yeah, leading the open here, energy, financial services, then technology. You got real estate behind that, but everything green. The only thing that's just slightly green is basic materials, but of course that was already up and continuing the trend. So look out there, guys. You got some different trends there available for sure.
Yeah, SPY just continues in March, might not come back to test. So it'll be very interesting to see if we end up getting that up push up to this kind of, again, 550 area. That's kind of where my focus is. Again, I think we test it at some point in the near future. And then what happens from there, who knows? If we fail there again, then it just shows that, right, this VWAP is just controlling our entire lives. Another place, right, just pop a VWAP that I was chatting with my buddy Brian, and he was just saying, right, from this candle right here, and then also from the announcement, right, the backing off of tariffs, you pop it right on that candle, and he's watching for a pullback into that area, which is 530 for potential long there. But it's a pretty big fall to get there.
Nice little bloody nose on indices right at that mitigation level I was looking at. Basically, the little highs that were forming right into the end before the dump. So I'm going to keep an eye on that for sure. Could just flag out here for sure, but something to watch.
Yeah, I think we're trying to build up on that horizontal line up at 550. That's what I've been looking for a while. I called it when we dipped there. I said ascending triangle look. I think I even mentioned that last week when you were on, Steve. So I can see us getting back to that 550 area. And then, of course, downside area can kind of hold towards 522. I think that kind of made sense when we did that down move and we got the Trump news of the pause sideways action. We're waiting to find out what's the next move. What's the next move? I don't think we break out of that range of 550 or let's say 500 on the downside for a little while here until we get some more clarity in the tariffs.
Just picked up some of this APLD, had earnings yesterday, got killed.
Go.
It spent most of its life under VWAP here, so it's just putting in the green arrow alert.
Bull down to 44 now, guys. It's been straight down out the gates on the 15 minutes, but is starting to hit the 15-minute support around this 45. We'll see how it bounces back. And just as I say that, the spread's spreading out and starting to get the bounce. We'll see what happens there. And bull off the 45. I think that's your support there. The question is, where do you got to risk to? That's the harder question. I would say it's closer towards the 41.81 level, so maybe 42. That's a tough risk there, guys. We'll see what happens.
Getting a nice little sell here. I like it.
Yeah, one of these, right? Again, my warning remains. These things, when they break, that's usually it, right? It's usually done. It's the whole game of musical chairs. And when the game of musical chairs is over, you can, that's all there is to it. So I'm not one that I would be super interested in dip buying this. So if you are, just be careful. Again, it's like we talked about with quantum computers and things like that, is that you want to play while the playing's good, and then as soon as the musical chairs stops, I think you want to get out there.
All right, let's see if I can get the move now, guys, in RX here, guys. You guys are set up here. It's on the 9 EMA there, of course, for momentum move. Holding that 9 on that pullback. It's a good sign there. Let's see if it just takes the move there towards 6. Of course, Verb V, another one that's kind of moving with this one. We'll see what other ones are moving also. Verb V, will that get to 6 there? Murrah is the top mover of the day, at least for right now. 156%, guys, at 266. Was trading yesterday at, I think, under $1 at some point. Yeah, yesterday at some point it was at 98 cents there. It's up there to 264 now. Big move in that one. Let's go back to RX. Can I break the 580s here, get towards 6? We'll see if that happens. Looking around at sectors out there, biotech having a decent day there, guys. So there's a reason why, right? So this is a good sign to see if you're trading some of those smaller names, how the biotechs are just really kind of pushing strong here. So you're seeing a lot of names up in that space. We'll see what happens if we can continue this overall. What do you see there, guys, at least for the day? From the open, everything still green. Everything's still green. Energy, finance, then tech. That's what I'm seeing. That's why I like finance and energy right now. Energy is a reversal trade, but I like the finance trade, guys. Look at Goldman Sachs out the gates here. This has just been a pretty nice move here, right back on the upside. And I already had this drawn there, that kind of trend line here, and you can draw this on the bottom, right? You can see how this was kind of stuck in this symmetrical area, now breaking out of that, and strong action. Goldman Sachs financials. Look at XLF now, looking good there.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything's seeming very strong here and looking like we're going to reach up for higher targets.
Looks good, guys. It looks good.
Yeah. Oh, you caught me. I was working on a system there. Yeah, MPU
you got the code. You got the code. Screenshot it.
He's getting it's getting close, right? It's to the point now where I'm just kind of
look at the TQQQ, man, just as a good sign for traders out there. They're right in the momentum, I feel like.
Well, and this is it's that kind of thing that makes me feel better to potentially hold this thing to target, is just because
they're right.
if not rallying with the market, right? So I've got that, and I got this APLD, which I'm down just
there you go.
On, but
TLT also pushing up with the SPY move here. That's interesting there.
Yeah, a lot of correlation recently. So I think that bonds are a risk-on asset at this point, which sounds very strange to say, but I mean, if America does well, then bonds are going to be undervalued at this level. If we're still in trouble, then yeah, it's not really a safe place to be.
Yeah. And don't look now, but the VIX is going back into a gap spot there. So VIX meltdown seemed to be the play. And I didn't think that was a bad idea off of Friday's action. The hard part was the overnight swing there. It just gapped down way too much. It's kind of hard to play after that.
Yeah, volatility needs a reason to stay this elevated. So I think we might be in a regime short term where we need a catalyst to sell.
Exactly.
So
So
I'm waiting for that catalyst, and I'll be jumping back in short.
yeah, and so my idea is a lot of the times what happens with the VIX, right? It just wants to wipe out options, right? And so the easiest move I think here is not for the VIX options to continue banking. It's more like, all right, well, let's not move the VIX. Let's bring it down overnight and then not move it, right? And then just pretty much burn a bunch of option trading in the VIX. I can see that happening for a little while here until we get the next one, right?
Yeah,
Steph, Angelo out there. It's good to see you guys. What's going on out there, YouTube? You awake out there?
Don't worry, we'll break this range eventually. It might be happening right now. So these are the moments where you gotta be a little bit focused, get a little bit of attention there.
Well, Michael, I'm just sticking to the system here, trading these small caps.
So yeah, speaking of, USAR, I apologize.
We'll see what happens.
Popped into a short there.
Ooh,
So you guys are looking long. Don't like this one as much because it's barely a 1-to-1 risk reward, but I am just trying to be a robot with it, right? So that's the system. Away I go.
Yeah, it's a nice 4 moves up rejection off of the 1450. So I like that area. It's good look, Michael.
And then bull is triggering the long side. I just kind of have this in here for fun. I'm certainly not going to take it, but just to remind me that this.
Look at that 45, man. Look at that undercut on that 45. With the 42 held you, yeah, 44 low. Give you about $1 of risk there through that support. It's a tough one to take, man. Though.
Yeah, it's very, very tough to take. Personally, I wouldn't be touching it, but
off of a halt. It halted on the downside too, so don't forget that. It halted and then reopened. So that's a tough one. It's on 2 halts already. It's bull.
Well, and right, if we want to go over Max Payne theory, the Max Payne theory on this one is just like hurt everybody. Just chop around. They get the dip buyers in by putting some nice bullish action in, and then stuff them, and then get the bears in by looking like you're going to break down, stuff them too, and just go crazy. But if it starts to break out of like pre-market range or something like that, again, like I say all the time, it's bubbles are great. Right? This is definitely a bubble stock, but bubbles are great as long as you have an exit plan. As long as you know, okay, this is the point where I'm no longer playing this game anymore. And just know that if you're going to take something like this, you're talking $5-6 stop losses. So, just make sure you're 100% okay with that and you're sizing yourself accordingly. Have fun. You can see my little risk calculator here. For if you're risking $50, you should be trading 8 shares. So if you're risking $100, you should trade 16 shares. So this isn't something to swing for the fences. But you don't need to, especially like trade the pool and most brokers and all that. You can trade. Some brokers now you can even just trade fractional shares. If you want to take 2.75 shares, you can go right ahead and do it if you want. Usually for an extra fee, but it is possible.
All right, guys. We'll see what happens. Of course, the RXRX trade is based on a theme. It's all about the animal testing that got phased out in the FDA. So it's more now in favor of more modern, human relevant methods, AI, essentially. That's what RXRX does. And that's why it's seen an insane amount of volume off of that report. That report came in on Friday. So I'm looking to see if we can break through the highs off of that. So that's why you're seeing certain names like that kind of get the lift there. And you got to continue to watch to see if they have exposure to that. That could be an underlining theme that's developing here in the AI-driven biotech space.
Yeah, it's pretty cool technology. And also, it's nice that we're not having to rely on bunnies and all that stuff so much, poor bunnies. But it's really cool developments. It'll be interesting to see how similar the analogs or whatever the science behind it, whatever we're using to emulate human biology without testing on actual humans, how well that actually translates to results. But if it does work, I mean, that's obviously I'm a tourist in the space, but if it works, it's amazing technology for sure.
Tesla broke
Yeah.
that 254, guys. Just a call out there. I talked about that level before we started. That's a break there. Now the question is, did the pullback hold? I'm going to look for a pullback to 252, then look to see if we can take out the highs. That's a play today. Of course, they're still waiting to hear what happens with Trump and auto exemptions. But if that report comes out, you're too late for the trade on Tesla, essentially. That's why I think that you're seeing buy the rumor, sell the news event here already taking the place, and it's the buy the rumor side time, especially with rumors coming straight from Trump. Look at Ford and GM to see if they can start to follow and lag behind Tesla. So GM looking better than Ford right now, but just calling that out, right? So I look at the lag effect on those names.
Yeah, I think GM's a better chart in general and probably a higher quality name. So if I was looking to play that long, that'd be my spot, or Tesla, of course.
Yep. That's the fun part, right? You can choose what you want there. Another thing to look at, just because it's a growth one that can move with it, is Rivian.
Oh yeah, good call.
The fact that you forgot that Rivian existed until just then.
Come on, man. That's what Money Mitch keep you in the themes, guys.
Money Mitch got my back.
No, it's just those are the things that I like to catch in the articles. Like I read articles, of course, macro and all that, but I love when I catch articles like that. So you tell me about something specifically theme-wise that's opening up, I'll be paying attention.
I'm considering a hero short here. Obviously, I'm fading trend and probably bias here, and we could go significantly higher, but I don't know. It's looking a little bit. Well, we'll watch how these next couple candles play out into the hourly flip. But
what about
I saw a little smackdown on a 1 minute candle, and that gets me interested.
Just to summarize quickly, MP, there's target. That's
MP,
a good boy. I held the target that time. So
I like that one.
AR, which is doing nothing, and I have APLD, which hasn't hit stop yet, but it got close. I gotta redraw that just right below that. So could be one winner, one loser, and then we'll see what happens with the USAR. But just more of the same. You're talking about bull. Another halt, maybe.
This thing's wild.
Yeah, this is just like I saw Newsmax on the Gapper, the Gap list again, because I think people are they're kind of going to bucket these things together, these crazy, IPO low float nutsness. So you see one move, maybe you grab a basket. What was the other one? It was WTF was the other ticker that went crazy when Newsmax did. So these could be all kind of looked at as the same thing. They all have the same chart of that insane initial move, and then gravity takes it right back down to earth. So I wouldn't expect another rally like that, but again, these ranges are very wide. You're talking from $6 to $8 here, so huge move.
Nailed a longer term short. Remember the MLGO? That one came down further yesterday, man. I should have maybe held on a little piece of it because that went down all the way down yesterday towards 1160s, and I was shorting where at 1510. So not a bad move there. MLGO shut down.
I just got put on a very interesting lead for a potential big short, like a swing. Shout out Chaos here. Charles River Laboratories. Apparently, they are leaders in drug discovery and development services. So if there's a big shift fundamentally from their business model of animal testing, then that could be going to
yes.
Who knows?
That's a great. This is my man. Probably read the article that I read. That's what I like to hear. This was mentioned in that article.
Is this the day the article came out?
Yeah,
exactly. Friday.
By the way, I did take a small short on SPY. It's small, but I'm itching to play something, and we got a little bit of pullback into that key level I was looking for. So just something to keep an eye out. We'll see if I get smoked here in a minute or two. I got a little stopover, just a little bit over high a day, so probably comes and gets me, to be honest. But I wanted to play a little.
Yeah. So with that one, I'd like to see the retracement go to the 50%. That's 111.50s. But that's just trying to play the retracement of that kind of pullback, right?
Yeah. Another thing to do on something like that is pop a VWAP right before the news came out or on the news candle. Then you'll know where the average person is hanging out. So,
All right, guys, trying to see if we get a
Oh,
5-minute
not
breakout
bad.
in this RX, guys. I've been hanging out in it for a while now and looking for it to go. Let's see if it can start moving. Of course, it could still pull back to like the 570s, but other than that, looking for this to start making the move here. I'll show you guys the 5-minute pattern here, of course. You guys can see a trend line here, right? We'll see if we can start to break there. You've seen that one push, pull back, second push, pull back. Third push could still pull back here into this area, but I'm looking for a push through this, seeing if we could get to the 6. See what happens there, guys. Let's look around, guys. Now energy up a full % from the gates and financial services up a full % from the gates.
All right.
Defensive's kind of hanging in there.
I'm calling out stuff here. Just right. Look at this. So, very good day. Good for you. And then 2 seconds later, you're talking about another stock. If you say you don't, get out of here.
Got him.
Get out. I can't do that, man. Can't say I'm done for the day and then start looking around.
But did you see
That's
FRGE? Did you see this one? I'll be that guy. This thing's up massively. I have no idea why this software company's up, but it's up big, man. This thing's moving all around. I don't know what the hell this is. Forge Global Holdings.
I got Michael on one
are these
shoulder,
holding
Mitch
companies?
on the other.
Yeah, I was about to say, no, listen to me on this one. Just if you've hit your target, get out of here. Go have a great day.
How many jobs can you make your money in the first half hour and still want to keep working? You know, this is a weird one.
Oh, RKLB doing good today.
Yeah, I like the name. I really
Look
like
at that.
the stock,
Look
honestly.
at that, guys. So there's a leverage one, RKLX, that showed up on my scanners.
Oh, of course there is.
Rockets on rockets.
This is just something has to. I don't know how. I don't know what's gonna. Something has to break with these things, right? Like,
Yeah,
I get
This
the.
can't be good for society.
The problem is that we don't have an SEC that works.
Yeah, I agree.
They take the day off half the time, man. They don't care. They care about the little guy on YouTube making money, but they don't care about the simple scam going on in ETFs.
You know, I can get the double leverage Apple because if Apple goes to zero tomorrow, that's
blue cap,
huge,
like blue cap.
market.
Blue chip names should maybe be allowed, right?
Yeah, I get that. I get the double leveraged, even Nvidia, even though I think that's probably pushing it. But you take a small cap, something that launches maybe rockets into space sometimes, and you're gonna let's leverage that up. Why not? Right?
Yeah, the Ion X.
What
double leverage quantum computing? It's ridiculous.
There's
like
a
quantum
Reddit
computing doesn't
2X.
exist.
Yeah, just look at the chart of IonQ. Remember where it was. Don't forget that this was at one point in 2024 a $7 stock. Just how it goes, guys. I take the money and run. I appreciate you for keeping them in line. Sometimes you got to check them.
Good.
There's something called, and this is important, guys. I think it's very important, guys. I talk about this all the time. Every trader should have what's called an accountability partner, a partner that you look for to keep you in check. I know that we're in the day and age where a lot of times, yes, we need to be our own person that keeps us in check. But the truth of the matter is that we're better as a team. And if you can have a team that can really help you, surround yourself with like-minded individuals that can really sometimes take that objective approach and looking into your statistics. Maybe it's a loss that you took and you need to work through that. Have people and traders like that can help you. It's like athletes with support systems, right? Everyone's going to go through a rut. If you can't just simply rely on yourself, that's what I'm telling you here. And sometimes you got to have traders that tell you, hey, you tell them, hey, I'm done for the day. Check if they're done for the day, right? Let your accountability partner check your trading hours. Were you trading when you weren't supposed to be trading? Watch how that starts adjusting how you even take trades, because then you realize you're like, you know what? I don't want to let down one of my good friends. Also, not just yourself, But now you're including the team aspect to it. It's an important outlook. I think that's important. I think this helps a lot of traders like myself, Michael, and Steve that deal with other traders. And we get to a point where we realize we can't just do dumb trades just to take them, right? We have to look out for the overall well-being of the team, and the team mentality tells me that I can't just YOLO on everything, right? That's the truth, guys.
And it's funny. It's happened a lot. I interviewed Brett Steenbarger for my podcast, right? And he's
Great.
well-known name in psychology.
I would say the top in the space. I would say the top. Sure.
And he talked a lot about the hedge funds and prop firms and everything he's dealing with. No longer are having individual accounts, which I think is really interesting. They're doing team trading, and basically you have all of the plans written up by some people, the execution's done by the other people. You do, and even if you're trading your own account, they're all meeting kind of at the end of the day to share their trades and what they did and all of this. And doing a lot of this kind of group thing. And the reason they did that is the markets are too expansive to be able to do everything. So what they wanted when they're building these teams, they have like one quant, they have maybe a guy who's a more macro guy. They try to bring in different expertise as opposed to trying to understand everything. And then at the same time, like you mentioned, it's accountability. So if you're all trading one account, right, and you're each taking trades in this one account, the odds that you just go nuts and blow something up because you're sitting, with a bunch of your buddies and you're trading the same account, then it keeps you accountable because you're not just hurting yourself. You can't go crazy, or you're hurting other people. And then lastly, the reason they came up with that is because it's like what I talk about all the time with multi-strategies. The best hedge funds out there are multi-strategy hedge funds. So why not make multi-strategy, inside of a hedge fund or inside of a prop firm or whatever, where everyone, right, you have $1 million account, but you have 5 people trading at it. And then what will happen is you'll have sometimes where guy A is doing really well and sometimes guy B is doing really well. And they're having a lot of success with that style of trading. So it's a really, really interesting conversation to have about the importance of finding a group and trading with that particular group, again, for accountability, but then also for kind of diversification of thought and, make sure someone's checking it out. Now, while I'm ranting here, I just took a short on Bank of America. Again, blue arrow alert right here. This one, it would be a 2-to-1, right, to VWAP. It's one of those things that as the day goes on, I did have a comment about this. The push, right, as this day goes on, this other VWAP is going to start catching up. So, as time goes on, I just get less and less of a potential reward from them. So when I'm setting these boxes, because again, I got someone who commented that they really liked when I drew out the trade like this. Just know that, my exit point, even if it does sell off, if it happens at like 2 in the afternoon, might be something like that, just because this VWAP will just kind of naturally drift up over time. So
and don't forget that you have that same tool right there in Trader Evolution, guys. If you go to my screen, I can show you guys that right now, guys.
Sure. Then just quickly, APLD just stopped out, so that was just a loser. I'll look to get back in that one if it triggers again.
So you can just click on this one right here on the bottom left. This will be long or short position. Of course, you got to adjust that if you're doing a short, but then you can move this towards your intended profit, right? This is not only going to give you the dollar, but it gives you percentage amount that you're looking towards. And it also calculates here P&L and what you're looking to see, right? And then you can calculate your stop there and see what percentage stop you're using. This is especially important for those traders that like to focus more on percentage than the actual amount they're making, right? Percentages are hard to calculate in our heads. Let's be honest.
And I think this tool, I think, is so important because it's very visual and it shows you quite a bit what the risk reward is. And a lot of people, sometimes I see, they'll look at a chart and they'll make some sort of estimate in their head. But if you draw it out like this, you can really see. And I think for me personally, it gives just a little bit of confidence to say, okay, right, a 3-to-1 risk reward, that means I can be right very infrequently and then still end up making money. So yeah, draw it out. We're visual creatures. I really like this tool.
Yeah, and you have it right there, guys, on your Trader Evolution. So go ahead and use that to calculate your P&L. And like myself, I shoot for like a nice 3-to-1, right? So this would be a perfect 3-to-1 look, right? And if you can do this, you can also measure the flag action and see if it measures what you're kind of looking to get, right? A good technical aspect, right? It doesn't always plan out that way, but I think it's definitely important to take a look at that, right? From like here, let's say 554 up there on the first swing to like 585. So you could kind of measure that and look for the expansion. You can use fibs. We have this all here for you guys to look at. So definitely, if you're not using all these tools, look for a great video coming soon on exact explanations on the charting tools here. But if you have any questions, let us know, guys. You can do a Fibonacci expansion, retracements. There's so many things that you guys can be using right there on your trading platform. Well, I get the move, guys. I've been hanging out in this one. And what have I been doing? Just literally easing my brain off the market for a second. Right in the next like 4 minutes, I'm going to start looking to see what's really happened in the market from the morning. This is one of the things that I've been trying more and more to do. Not pay attention so much to every candle in the first hour of the day, but then just take an overall view. What's happened? What is happening? And now we'll look to see what happens if there's a contrarian trade opportunity. That's where we've been seeing the best opportunities of reversal. If you look at the action this morning, it started to peel out, and we reversed off of a level, an important level. It was an anchored VWAP that I have. And this is all the way actually from the first down action. So we kind of are actually holding that anchored VWAP. It was right around the 536 level, right? So that's the level that I'll be watching for downside to hold. Right now, we're going right towards a resistance, right around the 544 level. So I think that we have the shot to get there. We'll look to see if we reverse off of that 544. Show you guys that in a second here. Let me just pull this down to show you guys that. There's RX starting to make the move. SPY moving back here.
Yeah, just quick, making new highs here. There on the SPY. So looking great.
Yeah, good stuff. I got stopped out there. Small little paper cut. Just wanted to take a swing at it. Looked like it almost wanted to play out, and then just power candles last few minutes.
Yeah, I think this is what's happening, right? I mean, you can see this. It's like this ascending triangle that we keep trying to go back to the horizontal line up here. So I think that now I'm looking at that 544 as in play. And we're at 543. Let's see how fast we can get there. I think a fast pace move there is actually better to see the reversal happen. And you haven't seen the SPY come back to the VWAP at all today. That's another thing that I'd mentioned. It hasn't come back at all. So pretty much trend day up in the SPY is what I have.
I don't want to see the reversal happen. I want us to rip to new highs. Even though I'm only 50% invested, I'll take it. I'll take this nightmare to be over any day of the week. Let's make new highs here. But yeah, you're right. The big level at that 550 that we got to deal with. There's a lot of stuff in that zone that when we get there could be, could be a big time, right? Could be something that we keep an eye on. So you need to see what happens there.
RX ran into a little bit of selling into the 590s here. So looking to see if they do a throwback look, ads off of the 580 trend line here. If not, willing to let it go here, guys. Have gotten up about 10 cents, but 10 cents not going to do it for me. Looking to make like at least 50 to 60 bucks on this name. I have 200 shares. All right, guys. Let's get after
back a little bit.
Guys? Is that what was happening? They just came for my stop. I've been wrong.
I know. Like they rallied her through the go here. They rallied her through the high, and then look at that. That was a pretty dramatic. Like I just watched it in real time. That was a pretty dramatic sell. So yeah, they just hit Steve's stop, and then someone cranked on the sell algorithm.
Look at that. Sometimes you laugh, and then you either laugh or you cry. If we get a little wick up, I'll get back in. But woo, smoking.
Yeah, we're pulling in there. So yeah, that was quick. Like I was trying to get over. So It's like to show you guys. I was scrambling because let's do like a 1 minute chart. I don't think it will still. Yeah, so that all happened in that 1 minute candle, just flush right back down. So for me, the question now is that a little liquidity move, right? Is that a break of this zone, this kind of 4 or 550, 250, and then we sell under that? I don't know.
I heard a good old little bloop. You know what that means? Dun dun.
Oh, we got another visitor.
Dun.
And we're getting popular around here. We're getting everyone come in. We're gonna just have
look at him. I feel like he's all excited. We gotta bring him on. The man himself. What's going on from the Discord?
Hey.
Oh man, I am super excited this morning. Beyond just the opportunity to be here with you guys today, I am in Roblox, and I've been in Roblox. And what on earth is going on Roblox? I am looking for a headline on this guy.
Well, you've been our Roblox expert, man. So I might have to kick it to you to hear what's going on, man. What's happening?
The only thing
it seemed like the chart's been. It just looked like it was basing here, and there's the only thing I see is I'm a video game designer, and here's why it's so addictive: risks to children, deeply disturbing.
Let's look, guys. Let's look. I
see Roblox hopes targeted advertising hits marks with investors. So I guess they're going to start advertising in the game. That's
someone said, "Oh shoot, I thought I was sharing my screen already." Somebody said something about $40 million for something, but I couldn't get them to tell me what the reference was to. But boy, oh boy, though. So, yeah,
you're up there.
This. So that the white one with the ranges, that's the call option I held this week, and then there's my trade, pool trade since this morning.
All right.
So none of my, it looks like none of my trailing stop losses have even hit yet. So
I'm looking into, I'm using X here to look into the street on RBLX, guys. So there's a cool feature that I don't know if you guys have known about or have used, and I can kind of change it into a little bit deeper query. But so pretty much on Twitter now, you can do these kind of searches.
Hold on, sorry, just
go ahead. You're good.
Big candle down.
I was gonna wait to say anything. I mean, it's wicking up wildly now. I did get back in on the 50% retest of that at
the contrarian play coming into play. Wouldn't you know it?
Sorry, you guys saw me get excited because I was waiting to say that I just got back in with stop over high a day. So I booked a little bit off of that right here,
nice.
But
I don't know if I have my
what a candle. What? That's got to be news, right?
I think it's kind of one of those where just hang on just a little bit. Hang on, guys. Hang on.
I immediately when I see that,
that's probably not technical.
Walter Bloomberg. Right, I immediately go check out Walter Bloomberg, which
Yeah.
Like, free Walter Bloomberg, man. He got a lot of hate there for a minute.
Why? Because he knew something that he should have put out.
No,
EU expects U.S. tariff to remain as talks make little progress. So, tariff news, shocker.
I knew that, guys. I knew
Has he stopped posting? His Telegram doesn't have anything since the 13th. Does his Twitter?
Yeah. So I just follow his Delta1, I think is his Twitter handle.
DIDA1, yeah. But
yeah.
Okay.
EU expects U.S. tariffs to remain as talks make little progress. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I know there's a lot of long.
So not really news, but
yeah, that doesn't. That's
like look at this. Woo! Look at this. Look at this drop. What is
market was looking for a reason to sell there.
What have I been saying been working, guys? It's a contrarian market here, guys. It's a lot of times it's the opposite move that has been working in the markets, guys. So buy the dips, sell the rips is the way the market's been working. That's exactly what we're seeing here. Big spike in the VIX right back to the 69. Now I think you got to watch for the first minute fake outs, right? So quick moves right back down and then to look to see if the ramp continues in that trend. That's what I'm looking for, guys.
Yeah. Right now on my hourly charts, it looks like a look above and fail of this pennant. So we're back testing in
Apple
theory,
big drop.
but
And
the
just to
momentum
show
has
off,
definitely
like
shifted.
using the more advanced features on the Traded Pool platform, I've got these partial trailing stop losses, and you can see it's actually pulled me out of a chunk of my position. So I've already oops, where am I? There we go. Yeah, I've already taken $83 of profit off this position. I'm still in it for 60 shares, and it'll grab this one, and if it goes down any further. So I wasn't even watching that screen, and I actually captured, that's pretty close to the top right there. So I still have the bulk of my position. So you make use of the features, you can really reduce the amount of time you have to spend managing it, and increase the likelihood of profit. Are we still going down?
Yeah,
We
but
just
we
broke
swept pre-market
today's
low.
low. Yeah.
Yeah.
here comes. I'm looking for the bounce to get short, guys. I'm just waiting for the bounce. I'd rather bounce than short on the flush. So
This is the 50% range of yesterday's candle as well. So
Well, that's good for my BAC and USCR short. So
the Boeing
Big.
one's a big watch too, guys. We didn't get a chance to talk about Boeing and China pulling the planes away, saying no, don't bring me planes anymore. Boeing's in a world of trouble, man. I think this is going to be something definitely to watch. Today, it's getting the bounce back, though, just to mention that. It's kind of sideways here. I think it's a big watch for the industrials overall.
Like IWM having the first decent little catch here.
All right, starting to get a bounce in certain stocks here.
My fart coin's selling a bit. That's unfortunate. I'm up double on that position, which is it's been my best percentage gainer of the year, which is just like hilariously poetic.
This is what I meant by watch out for the quick 1 minute chase, right? So you're getting that bounce already. Even the SPY bounced from like 538 almost to 540s, almost VWAP already. So this is what I was trying to do, right? Was looking for that move back here into the range. Then I can short off the top end of the range versus the middle part of the chart. When I've been risking in the middle part of the charts, I've just been getting eaten alive, traders. So that's why I'm mentioning it.
It's a good snapback so far, I gotta say. I did book half of my profits a little lower than this on the way down. I'm holding a little bit with stopover or under break even, so I'll book profits on the second half no matter what. But
and not that I'm a news guy, that doesn't seem like anything anyone cares about. Like it's, hey, the talks are not going well. Okay, well you got 90 days, relax. Like
that just goes to show things are on a hair trigger, I think, right?
Yeah, I agree. And also, I mean, it helps me feel a little bit better about my read this morning at the top there, that it seemed like it was a grind up and a little bit weak and a little bit into a key level that I was looking to potentially go short anyway. So I'm glad I got back in. I wish I wish I just held the initial position, but hey, respect to my risk tolerance at high a day there. So it is what it is.
All right, guys. Our RX guys took about a $19 hit there in the other account there. It did go up about at one point 14 cents, but wasn't enough there. Came back to this 570 area. Could still hold and make the move. Just not going anywhere. So I'm going to get out in the meantime. With the market coming down, that's one area where you could see bull kind of give up.
Yeah, so we had a little bounce. We came right to VWAP to the tick, like shocking. Right here came right back up to VWAP, like to the tick, and then started to fade from that. So,
all right, guys, taking a shot here in the smaller account, guys. This one's going to be an interesting trade, guys. Just it's going to be a nice little learning trade right here. Taking bull to the short side, guys.
Okay.
Bull to the short side, but on the small little $5,000 account. And I'll show you guys how I went about it. Look at the share size there at the bottom. What do you guys see? You guys see there
5 shares.
Five shares. Bold indeed, guys. But think about it like this. The risk to the top is like half of my daily limit. So I kind of have to like risk like that, right? So I'm just going to put the risk there. Boom, set it, which is $48. and forget it. See what happens. See what happens on bull, right?
Well, you remember what happened with
what happens
Newsmax there the other day? I remember we were talking about like 2 shares could have made you.
Sometimes you got to
like
take the shot, right?
$500.
Take the shot.
So.
We'll see what happens there.
And that's how you deal with it, right? I always say you can trade anything you want as long as you got an exit plan. You got a way to manage risk. Just do whatever you want. Yeah, the way you manage risk is by controlling position size. So.
Well, it's a good learning trade. We'll have some learning on this, right, guys? And I think that's what you got to do sometimes with like a cheap eval like this. The only thing that you can do, you can't do this with your real money, right? You go and try to do this with your real money. I mean, that's asking for it, right? This is why I think one of the advantages of trade the pool and ways to learn in your trades, right? Well, this is exactly that. What am I looking for? Remember, we just came out of a down hole. I would love to just go right back into a down hole, right? So let's see what happens there with bull. We'll see what happens. Above $50, like 51 is really even a sign that it's coming back. So I would even like to see the 51 reject, but I'm just giving myself a room, right? So we'll see what happens on it.
We got Alexi saying, as soon as we near resistance, they release the journalists. I don't want to get too conspiratorial, but it's funny how that works, huh? Near binary levels, you'll often see news releases there, and it can change the market. And hey, if you just got out of a position because of the technicals and you have access to that number on your speed dial, maybe that's when you dial them up. I don't know who's to say, but it worked out today. Pretty funny.
Nothing. I think Tim said it best. It just shows how jumpy we are right now, because that's like a nothing.
Yeah, look at the VIX
event, but
I think that was their opportunity on the VWAP there. So I'm looking for some pullback here. Might play off the 68 here. Just go with like 100 shares. I would like to get 68 here. Risk off off of the pullback here. But that was a nice little VWAP opportunity there on the VIX. I talked about the SPY. Would it go back to the middle where you can risk off the top end? And it's exactly what happened there. Reversals off the top end there. Didn't even get to that 544, which was that hourly resistance. So kind of like went to a trend line approach here. So you got to watch also to see if you can come back and break the trend line later in the day, which would recover 542 look. So that's your bullish outlook too. I always like to give the bulls their look too. Back through that trend line. Yeah, maybe you can get to that wick, but now you got double top there in the 543 range. And if you look to the left, what do you see? Another high there. Another high area where there's a lot of rejections in the 543 range. Can I get a slight undercut here of 68 on the VXX? I'll go long. I don't mind it.
Target, another favorite, trying to roll over there, but seeing it kind of hold a little bit. It's not doing the same as that first initial wick down. Walmart. Looks like continued strength up. Well, Pfizer recovering, apparently.
Order out at 67.80s here to try to get a fill here on the long.
Yeah, a little bounce there on Pfizer for sure. God, what an awful longer term chart. They didn't get involved in the weight loss drug game, so no one cares about them. Poor guys. They can do whatever, guys. But
took a little bit there, guys. 50 shares here. So that way I can risk about $30 towards the bottom low right now on the VXX here. Let's see what happens here. Going to risk about $33 towards the 67.40s here on a long on the VXX here. Let's see if it can get back through the high 69.34s. That puts it at about $1.30 on the upside, and only about we got 62 ticks. So about, what do we got there? It's about 50 cents on the risk there. So
I'm watching 547.
And speaking of risk, well, we have.
I'll go for it.
I was just gonna say, speaking of risk, just on that position, if I can throw up on the screen real quick here.
Yeah, I got you, man. I'll get you up.
Where's my?
It's just I hate this whole takedown and put back up.
Man, I think they'll throw up on their screen after that candle.
Yeah, I think you can just swap them without taking it down. But Yeah, the right now I'm long Roblox, short hood. So this is what we were talking about with our hedging session in Monday's lunchtime discussion, the trading journey on Discord. So as you get a little further along, you can start taking advantage of these kind of strategies. And now, actually, if there's a markets wide move, I'm kind of insulated because if there's something that's caused all equities to pump, all equities to dump, even technology, internet services, those kind of areas, right? I'm going to see corresponding moves in both directions, and I'm now green on both of these legs, so I can,
Nice.
and I've also got the trailing stops and things like that. But that's not even really as a pairs trade; they were just independent trades. But it's great because they can, they can kind of balance each other out. So.
Yeah, there's similar sectors to the tech software as a service, Kathy basket there. So, they should move relatively in tandem. But if you believe one will be stronger than the other like that, then it's awesome. And even if not, like you said, you got your good entries, so you can defend both sides of it.
And as long as you watch out for things like the ETFs, right, where there's some short ETFs, if you go long on those, but as long as you watch out for getting confused by that, or things like, maybe commodities that'll tend to inverse stuff, you can group your positions. I've showed this off before. You can group them by long and short, and then you can compare your long and short exposure, right? So I'm 3 to 2 or 4 to 3 long to short, right? So that'll give you an idea of how balanced you are as well. So just a couple little tricks there.
So I drew a fib on that the knife there, and I'm just watching that kind of range play out. Right now it's trying to consolidate in the golden pocket. It rejected the first tap of the 50 fib back on that first big candle up. So kind of watching it cook here. If we close a candle over that 540.70, which is the 50% fib, then I will probably just gracefully exit my short and take the win. But keeping an eye on it for more downside, honestly.
Yeah, where's your chart, Steve? I was going to hand mine off to you.
But... Oh, yeah. I can pop that up.
He's keeping all the secret sauce hidden from us.
It's all fibs, brother. It's all fibs. Nothing too fancy.
All right. Might get cut out here. There's the VIX down to 67. Could bounce off the 67 area, but I'm going to go ahead and get out there. Take a hit in the main account, $47 on a little slippage there. But there's the market coming back a little bit. Could make its way back towards that 542 area. Then we'll see what happens there. There's the VIX like bouncing off the VXX bouncing off to 67. I'm not going to take another one today just because I got to go ahead and get out of here, guys. But you guys will be in good hands. 3 traders with you guys. So you guys have a good time trading here. I'm going to go ahead and call it quits on the day today. Just wasn't finding it. And the key here is, especially during this market time where we're not getting clarity, is not to push it too much. I'm sure we'll have some clarity eventually. And I think that's what it's important here. It's not pushing too much when we have this uncertainty still at play. And there's a alert for Apple back at kind of near. I would look to see if it rejects VWAP. That's kind of the area what I was looking at. I was looking at AAPU to see if it get back above 22 for a short. I did just get an alert on that, but I'm not going to open the trade there. I just wanted to bring it up there for you traders out there. Another trade idea. You guys have fun. Stay safe out there.
Yo.
All right. Now we can all talk smack about him when he's gone.
So I am watching this 50% fib here, getting cooked a little bit. We'll take a look. I took some off right here before this big wick. Probably should have taken more off here when it didn't break a low. So keeping an eye on here. We can switch our fib around and see the targets. If it breaks above this, would probably be a back test of this zone into this golden pocket here. But I'm trying to keep cognizant of higher time frames here. This is not a bullish stick. The bottom wick was significant, but the top wick was too. So I want to see how this one plays out before I make too hasty of a decision when I'm still nice and profit here. But yeah, kind of what I'm looking at here. Seeing if sellers step back in here. If this is another trick my buddy Chaos just taught me recently. If a candle breaks through and it's basically breaks more than halfway through, like the midline of the candle that breaks is above this mid zone, then it kind of is more of a definitive candle. If it just nudges above, they can always just run some stops there, like I was mentioning. I did say if a candle closes through, but I need a definitive candle. since I have a nice cushion because I'm short up in this wick right here.
Yeah, and that's how you do it, right? If you've got that room, you want to play with that room, right? You want to make the market give you a reason to get out.
Yeah,
because especially with news candles like that, you just have no idea how far it would go, right? If that ended up being like really bad news, like, oh yeah, I'm reversing on tariffs again or something, right? You could have had just a insane gainer, right? So you want to give it a chance to force your hand, right? You don't want to just get out just because, hey, I'm up money, it's time to get out, right? That's I think the worst mentality traders can have.
And since I locked in the base hit, I lock in the base hit so I can swing for the home run, you know? That's kind of how I look at it.
Speaking of which, Roblox is about to break out, it looks like, past the previous high of the day. So,
wow, look at that. Look at that. Nice relative strength. Just watch into this consolidation zone to see if sellers step back in. But in general, much stronger than the market. I don't know why my whole screen's blue. It must be some old indicator or some old something or other.
Yeah, and again, with relative strength, I talk about all the time. You don't need to be fancy with relative strength, relative weakness. You just, hey, we had a big sell-off in the market. If you're looking for relative strength, start going through charts and seeing the things that didn't sell when the market sold. That's going to be a good place to keep an eye on. I ended up killing my Bank of America just because when we had that sell-off, like what I was talking about, that's a good lesson. Let me grab this. The good lesson I have now. So as we were selling there, Bank of America was just kind of drifting lower, just didn't care very much. So I cut that out for little tiny gain on that one, just because, like we talked about, when things are selling, if you want to find relative strength, look for stuff that's not selling. So if anything, Bank of America could be interesting from the long side of things. Just shows that XLF as a whole sold off a little bit. Again, not nearly as much as the market. Citigroup holding up well. And Goldman Sachs, which was talking about earlier, that's holding up as well. So there was a couple great looking trades there. And then the USAR, right, that came really close. I took some of the position off. I wish I'd taken more off. And then it's bouncing now. So if it stops me out here, it'll probably be like a break-even kind of trade. But let's take a look at the SPY. Yeah, it came all the way back up this pre-market range, right? This 541 came back up to that pre-market high, rejecting from that, at least for now. So the question is, another leg down, or are we just gonna look at that news and say, oh, that wasn't that big deal, and then we could rip higher? I think the next couple candles will definitely tell us that for sure. I do think there's also some there's a Fed guy speaking. Oh, an hour. Fed barking. It's going to be doing some barking. I just wish those guys would just shut up. My favorite time is like the week or so before the FOMC announcement where they're not allowed to say anything. That's great. We should just keep that all the time.
Yeah, that 50 fib back test there seems still kind of weak. But now we do have some mixed candles, red, green, Christmas lights. So I'm sticking with the thesis here. But if I was a little more risk averse, I could put a stop maybe over that last swing high as well. But again, I think they could run stops in both directions with the big volatility coming in.
Yeah, so the 2-day VWAP is this orange line. So now we've come down and kind of tagged that. So sometimes after these, surprise kind of shock events that come out from the news, you get this sideways, boring, choppy type action where people are trying to say, okay, is there another shoe that's going to drop? Was that it? People are kind of shaken a little bit. If you were long up here, and then all of a sudden in 2-3 minutes you're down underwater a lot, you might be interested in getting out of that position on any pop. People who shorted thinking something really crazy was happening, and if you got short at the low of the days, you're probably the opposite. So it would make sense if we consolidate here for a period of time.
That's a great point. I'd also just like to mention the divergence between bulls and bears here, where the bulls are saying essentially, I think the risks are overblown, and the bears are saying no, they're not priced in yet. So the bulls were saying, well, that wasn't even big news. Why did we sell? And the bears are saying, well, we didn't need big news to sell. We already got the big news and we shouldn't be drifting up this much, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The big thing too is it's not like everyone's focused on tariffs. Like the next thing to come might be not tariff related. There's other things in the world, right? So,
Yeah,
I mean, they're still chuffed with China, Taiwan. They're still, you know, been hearing rumblings about Iran. So, so now that I just finished spamming my my appearance on this show everywhere to show off my expertise, join my exclusive paid Telegram channel, buy my DVDs. Let me ask the real experts here. What do you think? It still feels consolidated, but I'm getting a little just looking at this Roblox position here in particular. Because it was just moving no matter what the market did. And now it's kind of I don't know if I should view that previous. I don't know if I should view that swing low as a neckline, or I don't have volume. You know what? I don't have the volume up. I need to look at volume in my indicators. I have all these indicators that I love, and I don't actually pay attention to them when I need to. So,
well, and the fact that you can't find the news behind it, right? That to me is one of those. Okay, is there a short unwinding? Is this, are you going to see coming out in a day or so that there was someone, big institution or something, starting to get involved, starting to buy bits of Roblox? Because this whole action here, this feels very buy program, right? Where
were you the one? Did you say you found a headline or something about some kind of targeted advertising?
I just found. I can look at this, but just
and let me check and see if anything more trickled in.
There's a partnership with Google that will allow brands and agencies to be rewarded video ads by advertising from Alphabet, Google's ad manager.
That sounds like a nothing headline. That sounds like when GameStop announced they were going to install Microsoft Office on their computers. You remember that? And everyone's like, partnership with Microsoft. Like, I mean, it was slightly more than that, but very slightly more. So, and here we go. Here's the catch. So
there are still buyers at 540. Yeah, that was a level I mentioned this morning that we surged above, surged under, consolidated into. Now it seems like it wants to hold. So we're going to take a look at that. But
right, and pre-market high right there is 541. So if we can get back above pre-market high, for me, that would be the signal to maybe buy something.
Yeah,
I'm seeing volume come in on the crypto buys too, across the board.
Yeah, my fart coin's recovering a little bit here.
Fart coin indicator.
We joke, but
yeah, you should join me here on the Godell terminal there, Michael. You can. That's all Martin talks about is short and fart coin.
Well, he's been short and far coins, been getting blown out recently. I think it's 400% off its most recent lows.
Yeah, I don't know if he's one of those that he's conviction. I mean, all of the I guess it's a market term, and it's also topical. All the shit coins really so far they all eventually degrade to zero. I'm explicitly not counting Dogecoin in that represent, but it can take a long time to play out. Well, of course, if you can squeeze someone, then why not?
That's the thing. The problem with shorting something with no economic value that's worth $1 billion is it had to get there somehow.
Wait, Partcoin?
Big buyer there on SPY.
1 billion market cap.
Yeah, I think last I checked.
Is that the float or is that just the notional? That's insane.
Yeah, just float times price. Market cap.
Funny. I don't get the
$870 million.
There were some other ones like Peanut the Squirrel token. I've got that. Yeah. I love that. A couple other ones, but I don't know, Partcoin. I never got the thing I love about, and I have an art somewhere that I've used as like an event banner or one of my streams, but it's people playing like tug of war with a crayon. The thing I love about some of those kind of things is that it's I think there's an interest in the market in just pure speculation, pure trading, pure technical action and just sentiment and stuff like that. And I think I'm curious whether regulatory authorities, either it's just hands off and this is giving a space to play, or if anyone realizes there really is this sort of interest in that, and it's almost like a sport, right? It's like literally like tug of war, because if it has no value whatsoever, I mean, number one, if it's got a meme tied to it, right, then it's like, okay, it's kind of the strength of the meme. We used to joke about rare Pepes and all that kind of thing. Like you're literally, it came to pass. But then some of these others don't necessarily have as much stickiness, as much humor to the meme. And you still get this kind of crazy action. And it's literally just, who can create the more convincing move, who has the more, strength behind their, taking the long side, taking the short side, who has the better trading of purely the technicals, purely the risk management. So I think it's amazing. I think it's a sport. I think it's the tug of war of trading. And I think it's great.
Yeah. And the reason I've always got it up on a chart, and the reason I'm looking at it so much is that there's no way the world's coming to an end if people have $1 billion tied up in Farcoin, which is going to be 100% retail people. If you're worried about your jobs, you think the first thing that would go would be the Farcoin.
Strategic Farcoin reserve.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things too. It always makes sense that if you're going to trade some of these, again, I've got a 5-figure Farcoin position that I'm almost doubled on. Take some time to look at the tokenomics, I think, is the big thing as well. So when they designed Farcoin, it's kind of like Bitcoin, that every Farcoin what are we even? Every Farcoin that will ever exist is already in circulation. They can't mine more. So,
sorry, look at that.
Oh, it's already done with tail emissions.
Yeah. So it's just whoa.
Yeah,
that's something.
That's something, all right. I was just about to say I'm entertaining a rising wedge potentiality here on my screen. I drew it up, but look at these
all the way
wicks.
back up there.
That's wild. Sorry for blowing your ears out there.
No, I'm gonna go back to my boy Walter Bloomberg, free Walter, and just see.
I wonder why his Telegram stopped. I wonder if he ran that officially, because he went silent after that little debacle.
Oh no, yeah, he's still
at least on here. Yeah, what you were saying about a buy program, though. I mean, I definitely got that. There's been a couple times before where I don't know, I just got the vibe, right? And yes, the bond market.
Yeah, bond market.
I was listening. Well, maybe that was on this show. Maybe I had this streaming this morning. Somebody was saying you look at the bond volatility versus stock volatility.
Yeah, that was
me. Was that you guys?
Index. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But there were a few times in the past where there's just had this, have this intuition that something's hinky, something's, this is kept down, the hedgies or whatever. But I remember this with Acadia Pharmaceuticals, right? Like, I think that was the first one where I just had this feeling, this is a buy, right? Even though looking at the action, there was no reason for it to be. And then eventually it popped up. Napa, another one, before they got taken private. That was a little bit looking at their actual books, but not much, because I'm not a accountant or anything.
Yeah, but, the bond market cannot be underestimated, right? Being a quadrillion-dollar market, right? It's like 10x the equity market. So the bond market controls everything, because it's lending, it's kind of everything you can think of is kind of tied in there. Yeah, and it's just, again, cannot be underestimated. The stock market going down didn't seem to do anything. As soon as the bond market was at threat of collapse, that's when we got a tariff rollback. So that's why I think the bond market, even for us who are obviously trading way faster stuff, probably not going to be trading bonds, should just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, the smart money, the smart traders are in bonds. The one who haven't been scooped up by the Fartcoin funds, but.
Smart traders are shorting bonds, I think. I don't know.
No, I just mean the smart money is like the bond market versus. Smart people trade stocks. Really smart people trade bonds.
True. And then one step beyond that is derivatives, right? Because you get derivatives on all of those things, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can look at the size of the markets and they correlate. So like the bond market is 10x the stock market, then like the forex market and derivatives market's like 10x that as well, right? So really makes you realize how small the equity markets are, but they're also way more volatile. So there's way more edge there to have, right? With the edge that a bond trader will have is they'll be like super excited if they make 50 basis points in a month, but 50 basis points times millions and millions and billions of dollars ends up being a great living. So whereas we're seeing stocks like that Verve today, stocks like double all the time in a day for no reason, or even
this tape still seems heavy to me. By the way, I'm hanging in that short runner.
Yeah, so I see. So I've been on Twitter here. I see nothing that caused
spookier.
Yeah,
that was just a tape bomb right there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't see a single thing.
So 40-40 or 540 is getting cooked now. It looks to me like it's going to give out. Unless we get another headline in a second here, which, hey, who could say, right? But I'm hanging in my short here.
What do you think of Dollar Tree right here? Especially compared to Dollar General. Let
me take a look.
It's holding well.
It's holding well, yeah. I mean, I guess it's a recession play, right? In some regard. And DG looks strong.
I was just comparing them on the what minute chart is this? I don't know what time frame I'm on.
I don't know. Trading these illiquid names.
I was just comparing them on the 10-minute chart. Like Dollar General looked a lot.
These both these type of names, to be honest.
Yeah, both these are pretty low volume.
Chart comparison thing. Let's see.
Ain't many day traders trading these names. SPY's showing buyers off of 540 still. That's worth noting. Definitely a valid level this morning that I was looking at.
Well, we got to remember what happened yesterday too, right? Which was nothing, right?
Yeah.
And we could be kind of the way I'm looking at it is we're all hiding out in the shadow of this, right? The tariff walk back candle, right? So as long as we're inside the body of that candle, I don't know if anything interesting one way or another really gets going because we're just hanging. So maybe we drift to the bottom and break, or maybe we drift to the top and break, or whatever it is. But
we are seeing
we got a Trump truth. Our farmers are great, but because of their greatness, they are always put on the front line with our adversaries, such as China. Whenever there's a trade negotiation, or in this case, a trade war.
What is that?
So that's great. He's just busted out the. He's like, you guys want to rattle a saber? That's not a knife. This is a knife.
No.
Anyway, what's he saying? I rewarded our farmers with a payment of $28 billion. Crooked Joe Biden. Crooked. Okay, there's nothing actually in this. Like,
what universe are we in, guys? What are we doing here? What are we doing?
It's funny. Of course, sometimes he'll follow that up with something substantive.
I gotta hook up the Twitter bot to get the live feed of Trump tweets again, don't I? I'm so sad.
He's on Twitter. He's on his near bankrupt company.
Yeah, the truth bot.
It is interesting to see which ones he posts on, because sometimes he posts elsewhere. Sometimes it gets forwarded later.
I bet you there's an account you could find on Twitter that like instantaneously takes whatever he tweets and ships it over to Twitter.
Yeah,
I guarantee you there's someone who's built a little script for that.
That'll be the new Walter Bloomberg.
Yeah, how much did that truth move the market? Great. Truth. That's hilarious. It's so stupid, but it's so funny. Like
nominative undeterminism. Whatever.
Yeah. By the way, were you serious? Is it actually bankrupt, insolvent? Is there news on that front?
It's about to be, right? It's one of those. If you look at the revenues of this thing are hilarious, right? They lose 20 cents.
That happens once he's out of the White House. Is he going to be like, "Hey guys, check out my Substack"? Like,
yeah.
Subscribe to my newsletter for more of my great.
But yeah, like this is the income statement there. Financials.
Guys, did you see his physical? We might lose him to the NFL. 6'4", 285. I mean, what a unit. he might go to the combine next year.
285, geez.
Yeah,
250. Shouldn't be 250.
I don't know what the actual numbers
Oh wait,
are.
interestingly, they just reneged on the big Boeing So this is about farmers, but the second to last sentence. Interestingly, they just reneged on the big Boeing deal, saying they will not take possession of fully committed to aircraft. Was that news, or did that?
Didn't affect Boeing very much, so it makes me think that was already out there. Boeing got down pretty. I bet you, right? If I was a betting man, I'd say it's that candle that they found out about that on.
Yeah. Wow.
Which candle? I don't have. I got
Just-
too many windows here, but
Yeah, big pre-market, like right off the open.
okay.
We dropped like 5-10% from that. So
I gotta try. I don't see it. Let me see yours. But yeah, a little dip. That's an interesting on the 1 minute of Boeing. Actually, it looks like it could. That doesn't look bad, actually.
no, well, I was actually going to set up because it may trigger my little system of fading from view app to view app if we get a close here.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
that's
right
good.
under. That wants to push clearly.
Yeah, right under view app.
Oh, the pre-market open. I gotcha.
Yeah.
You probably said that. I just a couple all-nighters lately, but
No, that
I'm excited about some things we've got cooking. So.
Oh, I hope it's automation.
Man, I wish I had a 0.5 second trigger finger and I took profit on that or that knife candle. Now it looks like it's trying to eat it up. Oh well.
On which trade is that on, Steve?
The SPY there.
Yeah, just SPY. You know me, I'm boring.
No, there's nothing wrong with the beauty of this for the people out there. The beauty if you got really good at just scalping the indexes, especially when they're boring, because right now there's some action we have when they're boring, is you have ample liquidity, right? You can go to triple and I think even more leverage instruments with trade pool. So instead of the SPY, you could trade with an SPXL, I think is the triple.
Yep. ETF DB has just a huge, and like I can pull it up, but I've shown it before, the Moo thing. I mean, I'm sure other ones have it, but I can just do the ETF, scanner or screener, and I can drill into the I can find similar ETFs, or I can find things that hold this stock, and there's all kinds of great tools out there. So
you can get liquidity. If you're trading some of these low float kind of Momo things, there's an upper echelon to where you could get. Now that's still pretty high because these things do lots and lots of volume, but there is some sort of upper limit if you got really good at trading futures. There's when I worked in the hedge fund game, there was a couple, and that's all he did was day traded ES.
Yeah,
had like a 50 to $100 million hedge fund just trading ES, just day trading ES, right? Because liquidity's there, right? You could punch in 10-20 million in an ES contract. You're not going to move the market at all. So that's all he did was he just scalped in and out all day long, and it seemed to me like I don't think it ended up lasting for a while because it's the mental toll that would take with $100 million of other people's money scalping the market. That seems like a lot, but yeah, the liquidity's there. You could do it for sure. Everything from CFDs to futures to single stock or to leverage ETFs to options, right? There's tons and tons of liquidity in the SPY.
I was just gonna say you could, at least in this current regulatory environment, you could start a Fartcoin short fund. Then we could all trade it on. We could all invest in your.
There we go.
I'm in. I got $20 and a pack of bubble gum. What does that get me? Am I an investor?
Well, actually, you could have like probably 30 fart coins with that right now. So
oh man, that's enough to fund my hedge fund in 10 years, right?
There's only 1 billion fart coins that will ever be minted. So make sure you scoop them up now.
Yeah. Time is running out, boys. Time is running out.
I think the tokenomics of it are pretty much identical to Bitcoin, which same as Doge, right? Like I know you guys probably heard the story of Doge being the guy just created Bitcoin in his basement one day.
Doesn't he like not
Said,
hold any anymore or something?
No, he sold it for like a Honda Civic like a while ago, not thinking that there'd be just any chance of this stupid thing, because it's literally just Bitcoin. I think he just copied the code and then like pasted it.
Wait, so an actual Honda Civic, not even used Honda Civic coin? That was one my friends used to like trading.
Oh, of course. Of course.
When the egg thing was going off, I tried just to try my hand at it. I made a little thing on with just pump fun, but what is it, albumin? It's like egg whites or whatever. So
Tim, the Venn diagram of people who trade shitcoins and know what albumin is probably pretty narrow.
So it looks like we'll wrap her up here just because it's time. But yeah, it looks like the chop is continuing. So, I think for me, if I was going to continue to day trade here, I'm just marking that high and I'm marking that low. And if either of those break, I've got an alert set. And if we just hang out in the range here all day, again, I just want to warn you from what happened yesterday. Right? Push down, rallied back up, sold off in the close, just did nothing all day. So I think we could do the same thing here, where this is an incredibly volatile nothing, but still nothing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, folks. Well, I appreciate everyone for coming by. As always,
is it time already?
Back
time
tomorrow. It was just
a fun day.
So much fun. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think we're going to probably be spending the next couple of days in this range. Like Steve mentioned, we've got that holiday coming up quite often. The closer you get to a long weekend, things just kind of slow down. But I don't know. In this market, who knows, right? One more tweet, we're at all-time highs, or we're breaking down that 480 area. Who knows? But again, thank everyone for coming by. Talk to you guys tomorrow.